John Zmirak is with us. He is an author and columnist, the co-author with Jason Scott Jones of the new book, The Race to Save Our Century, 5 Core Principles to Promote Peace, Freedom, and the Culture of Life, a book endorsed by Mike Huckabee and Pat Buchanan. The website saveourcentury.com. And John, welcome to the program.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
I hear you fine. I
Thanks.
thought it was interesting that in your book you not only went after liberals but also libertarians. First of all, your thoughts on that spectrum?
Well, I think it's really important to create a common ground that cuts across conventional ideological lines. And that's what Jason and I are trying to do with this book. We're trying to challenge people at all points of the political spectrum. So in the book, we take a candid look at the morality of bombing Hiroshima and Dresden. We take a look at the morality of America's drones policy. We also look at the morality of abortion and euthanasia. And we look at the morality of libertarian proposals to dismantle the welfare state. We're trying to gore every possible ox, if you will, because we're trying to go back to core principles that we hope that people can rally around to kind of create a new common ground that can make it possible for people to argue across political lines from common premises that are universally acceptable.
So those are, for example?
Well, the principles we lay out based on studying the horrors of the 20th century and seeing what aspects of what important human values were destroyed in the 20th century. We then tried to distill 5 core principles that could have prevented these atrocities. And our first is the sanctity of life and the infinite dignity of the human person. The idea that whatever science tells us, we need to act as if each individual person was precious and unique, and to use an old term, treat people as if each one of them was an image of God.
But the way that the people, for example, who have endorsed your book, the Pat Buchanans of the world, the Mike Huckabees of the world, the way they interpret those two phrases, sanctity of life, they interpret as we are going to force women to have to complete pregnancies, even in some cases, even if they've been raped or the victims of incest. And in other words, it's all about abortion and men deciding for women what's going to happen. And when you talk about respecting each person's individual liberty, they interpret that as respecting the right of billionaires and wealthy people to pollute the water, to pay their employees whatever they damn well please. Smaller government, less. No more minimum wage laws. And in this book, you talk about this. You talk about how the liberals are social engineers, and this is one of the horrible things of our society. It seems to me that you're just buying right into that right-wing crap, for lack of a clearer phrase.
Well, I certainly buy into the idea that unborn children have the right to be born and not killed by doctors.
Even if a woman is only a week pregnant?
Yes. Yes.
So you want to take, given that, according to medical science, at least half of all fertilized eggs never even implant. I mean, they're a menstrual period. And even the ones who implant, you've got a fairly high rate of miscarriages. You want to say, how do we do this? Do you have the police go to every woman's house in America, every 2 or 3 weeks and have them pee on a stick and see if it turns pink to see if they're pregnant?
Well, by the argument you just made, because there is a fairly high death rate for implanted eggs, therefore we have the right to kill them. You could say there's a very high death rate among children in parts of Africa.
I'm not saying therefore we have the right to kill them. First of all, I don't.
The U.S. using drones to kill more African children because a lot of them die anyway. That's the logic of the position you just laid out. And every pro-abortion argument, in the end, could be used to endorse genocide. And it's not an accident that Hitler actually allowed abortion, but only for Jewish.
Hitler strongly opposed abortion.
Other racial groups that he didn't approve of.
Hitler strongly opposed abortion, and the Nazis passed a whole series of anti-abortion laws.
No, he outlawed it for Germany.
You're talking about euthanasia.
He legalized it. No, He outlawed abortion for German women, but legalized it for Jewish women.
I know, but it was in the context of these larger euthanasia laws that said first you can abort your children, then you can kill them. I mean, he was actively that was part of the euthanasia thing. That's a very disingenuous argument. A, and B, Godwin's law. Whoever mentions Hitler first loses the argument.
No, that's not true. A good part of our book is, in fact, about eugenics and the Holocaust. So if you can't mention Hitler in a discussion of World War II, according to Godwin's law, then I wonder what will be in your book. We have an entire chapter of our book on racism and eugenics.
But your argument that's saying that somebody who wants to terminate a pregnancy a couple of weeks into it, when what is inside that woman is 20 or 30 cells or a couple hundred cells, nothing that even resembles a human being, that argument that somehow that's killing a baby, that is a religious argument.
No, it is not. It is
absolutely a religious argument.
But I will go ahead and tell you that I think that doctors in America who perform abortions should be imprisoned and forced to work on chain gangs because they are criminals.
Okay, so you're one of the guys who's encouraging the people like Eric Rudolph. So you're one of the guys who's encouraging people like Eric Rudolph who go out and try to murder abortion doctors.
Absolutely not. I want the police to arrest them. I want judges to try them, and I want them in orange jumpsuits picking up trash by the side of the road.
It's astounding.
I hope I astound people. But
I get it. I get how authoritarian you are.
Born life.
And what do you want to do to the women who choose to have abortions, or to a woman who decides to have an abortion and do it herself by taking one of these drugs that are available that cause basically an early term pregnancy to turn into a menstrual cycle?
Yeah,
do you want them in jail also?
Those drugs should not be made available.
Okay, so if a woman is doing this, if a woman is pregnant, how, again, back to my question, do you want the police to show up at every pregnant woman's house, once a week, drug test them, make sure that they're not doing anything that might harm the fetus? How do you do this?
Argument to say that we have to legalize domestic violence, we have to let men beat their wives, or else the police have to show up at people's houses every week to make sure that women aren't being beaten. That's an absurd and disingenuous argument.
I never said that.
Because a law could be unjustly enforced if people acted entirely irrationally, that law can't be on the books at all. By that standard, we shouldn't have racial discrimination.
No, I would submit that you are arguing that women are so stupid or helpless or selfish that men like you need to be supervising their pregnancy and preventing them from terminating that pregnancy. And I find that, frankly,
by that same standard,
horrifying.
Women are so.
I mean, you talk about Hitler.
The police have to make sure that their husbands don't beat them. You can make the exact same ridiculous argument you're making.
What did Hitler do to good German Christian women who had abortions, John?
I cannot even begin to respect the
John, what did Hitler do to good German Christian women who had abortions?
I think he imprisoned the doctors. He may have imprisoned them. He imprisoned a lot of good German Christians. He imprisoned the people who tried to save people from euthanasia.
So how is your position different from Hitler's? You want to put these women in jail. How is that different from Hitler's?
No, I want to put the doctors in jail.
Well, he did both. You're suggesting both should happen.
No, I'm not. I'm saying the doctors should be in jail. You're trying to bring it in. You're saying that Hitler imprisoned both.
You wrote a book that's got Hitler in it. Absolutely. I mean, it's good for the goose is good for the gander, isn't it?
No, it's not. I think that what the women are doing is wrong.
You want to control women's lives. Hitler wanted to control women's lives. I don't get the difference. Okay, John Zmirak. You can read all about it at SaveOurCentury.com. We really only talked about one out of the 5 core principles. I'm sorry we didn't have more time to get through all of them. It'd be a fascinating conversation. But you can find it at SaveOurCentury.com. John, thanks for dropping by today. We'll be back.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
It's interesting. John dropped off the call as fast as he could. We'll be right back with your thoughts on all this. Stick around.